guys, Nalani with Stunthetic, and we're going to be showing you today how to make a almond travertine pour. Now mind you, this one didn't come out quite right, but we're going to be going over what went wrong, what went right, and part 2 of our customers asking for a specific result. This is a piece of the porcelain faux travertine that our client has, and it's the same type that she has on her bathroom walls. She wanted us to make something that goes really nicely with this, and she had another piece of this porcelain faux stone that she gave to us. She wanted us possibly to kind of see how it contrasted against this and try to make something that really complemented this very nicely. So we tried to create something that would go really well with it.
So our ingredients for our almond travertine: first we are going to have a antique white spray paint with an opaque brown mixed together for our wash coat. Then for our other additives, we are going to have a opaque white dye, silver metallic spray paint, antique pewter spray paint, white and French beige spray paints, and then we are going to have diamond dust metallic and pearl metallic. First, we are going to tape down the sides to prepare for the dirty pour. Make sure to tape down the bottom as well. We didn't in this video, but we'll get more into that later.
We want to make sure to double layer tape on the sides, because liquid does, especially viscous liquid, does have a certain amount of weight and heaviness to it, and that can bend at some of the sides of your tape walls. Tape is only so thick, so you want to get a double layer on there.
Then we are going to mix the epoxy in an even 1-to-1 ratio. I always add part B first, then part A. Then we are going to use the drill and mix it for 2 minutes. I discovered that it's better to mix just enough epoxy for a wash coat first, then mix the rest of the epoxy and pour out afterwards. Now I'm pouring the epoxy evenly among 6 separate cups for each additive. Then I mix in each additive into each cup. Now some spray paints I don't mix into a cup and just spray directly into the large bucket. I just sprayed directly white and French beige into the bucket instead of pre-mixing them. Now I put that wash coat on the board. I found out the hard way that I went a little heavy on the amount of wash coat, but I will explain more about that later. As I pour each cup back into the bucket, I turn it upside down onto the board just to get the rest of the epoxy out. That can serve as a secondary wash coat as well for when you're doing that, to make sure that there's just enough liquid to make everything go around, as well as it puts that extra color back into the coat, which appears surfaced up throughout the dirty pour. And I like to make sure that I just spray the single spray buckets in between each of our pouring of the cups into the main bucket. You just do those in between some of the colors, and that'll come out really nicely. Don't do one just after the other. Make sure that you're separating them by certain epoxy colors. And then I remove the cups and I pour the epoxy from the bucket. If you want to keep in mind, some of the colors and mixtures will pour next to each other depending on which order you place them in the bucket, so if you want to keep that in mind, you can. or you could just dump them in any particular order. Here we are using the torch to heat up the whole piece. That way the epoxy will flow freely when we tilt it. This video has been sped up. I'm actually using very slow sweeping motions here. It didn't flow quite as much as I would like, so here I'm just heating it up a little bit more. And I'm using a heat gun to just further move the effects a little. As you can see from how the effect looks at this angle, we'll wait a little and then we'll take the tape off, which will flow over the edges also.
So here's the result now that it's dry. The epoxy ended up flowing off the board. See, the tape had a leak in one of the corners that was in here, and even though it's good to go over with tape twice, it never serves to be too careful, and it's possibly good to go on the back side afterwards and tape up the underneath, not just have it taped on the sides, just to make sure that it's fully waterproof. Probability of it leaking past the mold isn't as high. Another problem that we had with this is we put too much wash coat on this. The first time that we did one of these dirty pours, there wasn't enough wash coat, it was just barely scraping and covering the entire thing, and so we had tried to do more, but we did too much more. And the end result was everything flowed off really, really quickly. So first you should mix your wash coat before you mix up the rest of your epoxies. The reason why is because if you mix up the wash coat first and have the rest just sitting there in their own cups and stewing, they'll heat up and they'll start to chemically cure themselves with their own heat, and it will cut down the working time of them drastically. So you don't want to do that. You just want to have your wash coat first, you pour it out and you spread it all around your board, then you mix up the rest of the materials. So the ratio that you should do approximately is 1 ounce per square foot for the coat and 3 ounces per square foot for the rest of the dirty pour. The reason for this, even though the regular amount is just 3 ounces per square foot, is because you need a certain amount of lubrication in order to make this look work, but not so much that it pours over. So you do have a little bit more per square foot of the ounces for a dirty pour than you would normally. The next thing that we should have done, possibly, though it's hard to tell with the corner leak, is we should have waited a little bit longer before taking it off so it could have cured a bit better. Something that you can do to make sure that you do this properly is place a 30-minute test on it. So you walk away from the project once you're done pouring and everything, give it a 30-minute break, and then you come back and you just go on one of the drips that you have on your drop cloth and you just poke it a little bit with your finger, and if it's a certain amount of sticky and congealed, then it's good to take it off. Once it's not totally congealed, but enough that it sort of sticks and maybe pulls up just a little bit with your finger, that's enough that you can take it off, because you want it to still go enough that it pours over your edges, especially bigger edges, but you don't want so much that the entire pattern just comes off and it all goes. So, let us know in the comments, did you like lessons like this, where we are being a bit transparent and showing the good and the bad? So tell us in the comments, yes, I love the transparency, keep it up, continue telling me, or no, I don't like learning about the mistakes, just tell me all the things you did well. So, like, comment, share, and subscribe. And from all of us here at Synthetic, built by you, built for less, built to last, and we'll see you on the next video. Thank you for watching.